How's it going, Goodman Games universe? Welcome to another episode of GrapeApe's Roadhouse. I am your host for the evening, Matt Robertson, also known as GrapeApe. Today we are revisiting the Roadhouse, and we've invited our second set of convention reps, Goodman Games convention reps, to the show to tell you a little bit about themselves, the circuit they operate. So that way, when you see them at the convention, you can go up to the booth, hang out, say, "Hey, Michael David Davis, I used to love your mustache. Is it growing back out again? I see it." So, MDD, let's start out with you. Tell us who you are, if this is the first time anybody's ever seeing you, and a little bit about what convention circuit you run, how you got into working for Goodman Games, and anything you want to share with us.
Well, the easy and the short of that is that it is Michael David Davis or MDD. There's no in betweens. Don't say Mike. Don't say David. Those are not even things that my family would call me. So it is all three because when you have three boring names like Michael, David, and Davis, you have to combine them to make them exciting. And you have to come up with gimmicks like wearing bright, colorful shirts and growing that facial hair, as you said, against loved ones' wishes at times to just keep that brand identity going. So that's me in a nutshell. So it's easy for MDD. I'm in that southeast area by way of a billion cities that I've lived in, but I am now covering cons all throughout North Carolina, Atlanta, Florida, maybe, depending on how far. We know that's a very long state. Virginia, South Carolina, and then wherever else this other human deeder here wants us to go in the Southeast. I'll be happy to go.
Now, Dieter, was it safe? We'll bring it over to Dieter. Was it safe hiring someone with three names? Because aren't like all serial killers like three
I
named
think so. I
individuals?
think so. But it's good to have a little risk in our lives to make things more exciting. So,
Dieter, tell us about yourself.
well, I'm Dieter. I used to go to a lot of conventions around the Midwest. I live in Kentucky, so I've been around Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, Iowa. I went down to Atlanta a few times, but now I'm kind of coordinating all the different convention representatives and making all these appearances happen. Um, so yeah,
I mean,
that's
Elena
my
is
job.
Ray said we got a little bit of an echo going. Make sure make sure you guys got your sound turned off and you're listening through earphones. That might be it.
We all seem to be doing that, but
But last but not least, we'll go over to Craig Langrell. So, Craig, how are you this evening?
I am doing well, thank you very much.
Welcome to the
I'm
Roadhouse.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's good to
Tell
be
us,
here.
tell us about yourself.
I am the Mid Atlantic con rep. So I'm based in Maryland, but do things here. I go down south, I think, to the northern end of MDD's territory, and we wave at each other across the lines that have been scored in the ground. And then I travel north. I think my farthest north range at this point is up to Boston. We have PAX East coming up in a few weeks here, and then parts in between. And if you hang out on the Discord or on other social media spaces, you may know me as Doc Webb, as a owl in a cowboy hat. But yep, that's me.
And so I'm your host, Matt Robertson, and I have the Texas area. And Texas has so many conventions that I think I was among the highest convention rep for per conventions last year.
I
I think I
think
had
you
like
were. I think you were.
12 because we've got some everywhere. But MDD, I know what you mean. So like everyone not in my family can only call me Matt, and everyone in my family can only call me Matthew. And so if they
Mm.
intermingle, it just feels wrong. All
I
right.
think I
Well,
think
welcome to the show.
I think it'll be good to call you Matthew every now and then.
No, don't do that. I'll
Serial
call you
killer.
Mike.
Serial
I'll
killer.
send it back. I'll give it
Yeah,
back to you, and I think you'll like it worse because you have to have the three names.
Right. Right.
I was gonna say for each Matthew, you get a mic back, right? Is that how it
Ooh.
works?
That's
Yeah.
absolutely
Right.
100%.
The
All
dagger
right.
to the
Well,
heart.
I don't know
let's
what
get
it's like
into
to
it.
have a common name, so
Well, Dieter, it's funny you say that because I want to start with you because I believe you're probably the most experienced convention rep here. Tell us about your very first convention. Tell us the first one that you attended and like found Goodman Games DCC at the convention, and then tell us a little bit about the first one you worked as a convention rep.
well, okay. The first convention I ever attended was in the early '90s in the Quad Cities. I don't remember the name of it. I just went for fun. I remember I played the West End Star Wars. I got to play the Wookiee. It was fun. Other than that, I don't remember a whole lot of it.
Okay.
But my next convention was years later, probably in like 2005. I went to Gen Con with Goodman Games. So there was kind of a there was no for me discovering DCC at a convention or anything like that because I was working at conventions for Goodman before DCC existed.
All right. So tell us a little bit about that. How did you? So back in 2011, 2010, maybe even 2009.
Somewhere
Are
around there.
you?
Yeah.
What was the? So it was like the 3.5 products, the 4E. Tell us about your first convention rep job for Goodman Games.
Well, I did Gen Con many years with Goodman. Not really as a booth person. I stopped by the booth, but it was a small affair back then, and they didn't need more than Joseph at the booth. Um, but I think the first convention I did on my own as a booth worker was probably Hoosier Con in Indianapolis at some point in like 2013, maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
How did you
It's
get
so
roped
long ago.
into it? Did Joe say, "Hey, come work a booth for me," or did you say, "Hey, Joe, I want to
I,
sell your
I
stuff"?
I honestly don't remember. I honestly I
All
have no
right.
recollection of how it happened.
This isn't a Senate hearing. You can really tell us these
No,
stories.
I
Like
really I'll make something up if you want, but
As long as it's good. Craig, what about you? So you and MDD are two of the newer reps. How did you decide that I want to do this? I want to sell some. I want to go to conventions, hang out at the table, not play games. Because that's a sacrifice we make, and sell the stuff.
Honestly, because my favorite thing to do at conventions increasingly is to just talk to other people who are passionate about games and get to tell people about games that they might not know about, or if there are games that they know about, getting to introduce them to parts of the hobby or things like that that I think they might enjoy. And I just getting a chance to do it professionally is just a cherry on the top. When the positions opened up, I was talking to my wife, who is also a gamer, a little newer to the hobby than I am, but we're a gaming family. We have a 15-year-old kid, and we all play together. And but I was describing it to her, and she said, "Wow, so you're gonna have to talk to people about games? You're gonna hate it." I'm our family's extrovert, and so just getting a chance to go out and chat to people about games, especially games that I love. It really charges up my batteries and gets me excited. So I'd be there anyway. It's just nice to be on the other side of the table and doing it on purpose.
Yeah. All right, MDD. What about you? What made you decide to apply for the convention rep position?
I honestly, it goes with the three names. I'm not a serial killer, but I feel like I am a cult leader, or someone feels like that I'm going to be on a Netflix docuseries about this. They've predicted it. I haven't quite said that, and I haven't seen any like camera crews following me around. So it was a bug. And not only am I just new into the convention side, but I'm probably the newest into the DCC side. It only kind of became aware on my radar about just over 2 years ago, and I wasn't even in the gaming. I didn't have board games like outside of like the family board games. And somebody I met, actually, this will be year two, like it was Earth Day, that I met, came up to me and said, "Hey, let's go have coffee together. And we went and had coffee together, and they slammed down this big, thick book in front of me with this cool artwork on it. And they said, I think you might be into this. And they just read me the first like preamble of "You are not a hero," the infamous words inside the DCC core rulebook. And I was like, what is this? And now, fast forward 2 years, I think I just really want to earn the money back that Goodman Games has earned from me in the last 2 years. So if I can get a net zero out of this, that will be great, and it will make my credit cards happier as well.
Not gonna happen.
Right.
Not.
I think more product keeps getting produced, and so unfortunately, I won't get caught up.
MDD, how many conventions do you got under your belt so far?
I have actually, so MomoCon will be the very first convention. So MomoCon that's coming up here, me and Craig will be at that one. And also one of the wonderful Goodman Games regulars and also employee Foxy will be there, and Brendan LaSalle. And so it's going to be a big thing. They're running a big XCC tournament. So I'm really excited about that one because it's one of the larger conventions. And again, very similar to Craig, I'm not shy of words. I enjoy speaking. I love talking and connecting to not just our fan base, but to the people that like to speak nerd or geek language, whichever is the appropriate nomenclature now. And we're, a month and a half away from that. So that's exciting. Now, it's not my first con experience, but as far as on this side of the table, that will be it. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, Craig, do you have any cons under your belt?
Yeah, my first one, which made me very happy, is actually a local one here in Baltimore. Last month we had Game Face Con here. It's right in downtown Baltimore. It's at a local brewery. It was kind of a wild one to start with, because my general experience with Goodman is kind of as a scrappy underdog in the industry. But at Game Face, we were one of the larger publishers there. But just an incredibly positive weekend. Everybody was there, was really happy to be there, talking to people. A lot of folks coming through. As I said, it was at a brewery, so a lot of folks coming through mainly for the beer. I think some folks didn't know that there would be a con and came in and were like, whoa, what is this? These dice look weird. And it's always fun to talk to people and explain what a role-playing game is, and then say, and hey, right behind you, Josh Yoder's there running City Rats. You can sit down, you can figure out what this is all about, or you can look through at some of our stuff. So yeah, that was a fun one to start, because it's a con with which I'm familiar, just having attended as just a patron in the past. I got to meet Brian Shutter there last year when he was working the DCC booth or the Goodman Games booth. And it was neat to go back. And then next month, as I said, we have PAX East, Dungeon Con at the beginning of the month, which is, I'm not working, I'm just going. Excited to go and see the mothership, so to speak, and then to come out and watch MDD do his thing at MomoCon, and I'm running X-Crawl, so it'll be a good time.
Nice. Dieter,
Now we're going to throw that back to you, Matt.
Oh, well,
What was
let's
your
hit
very
Dieter.
first?
Dieter, you've been to a lot of conventions. What's your favorite convention?
My favorite convention. It kind of it depends
You
on how
love
you're
them all. Yeah,
you
love
kind of
them
depends
all.
on how
but-
you're judging them, but I really like PAX Unplugged a lot. That one is great. Philadelphia is a wonderful city. I love going there. Kind of a little more under the radar, though. One of my favorite conventions is Con on the Cob in Cleveland. It is a fun little. I don't want to say it's a party con, but it's a party con, a party gaming con. There's a lot of DCC that happens there too, and they often have like a lot of different entertainers who come through and do shows and that sort of thing too. It's a really good time. Highly recommend it.
Given that it's Con on the Cob, would you go so far as to say that there's a Lotte DCC going on there?
I knew there was a reason we
I'll see
invited
myself out.
Craig.
Can you cut him off?
So, speaking for me, the first convention I did, I think me and Stefan Surratt, we were selling as kind of third party vendors because me and Stefan and Joel just both putting our first kind of publications out. And man, what was the first one? I think it was ChupacabraCon. And we I think we talked to John by Grinstone. We were like, "Hey, can we buy some stuff and sell it at our table?" And they were like, "Yeah." And so then I emailed Joe out of the blue, and I was like, "Hey, if you ever need anybody, if you ever need another employee, I want to work for you." I was like, you got any jobs available?" And so I took the initiative on that, and it was silent for like 6 months, I think, 6 to 8 months, and then Jen emailed me back. She's like, "Hey, do you still want a job?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so then I started doing conventions and working customer service stuff like that.
Just for the
And
record,
now,
everyone watching, I don't think hiring still works like that anymore. I think
yeah, the company is too big at this point. I got in right when it was still a small company, but now it's too big.
So
Yeah,
you're
now
saying
you got to
instead of
wait for
6
the
to 8
call
months,
out.
it'll be like 12 to 14 months before someone reaches
right,
back out.
right, exactly. We're too busy to
But
respond to that kind of email now.
I say my favorite ones are ChupacabraCon because it used to be 10 minutes away. It's still 45 minutes away, an hour in San Marcos. It's a DCC heavy crowd. Long con with Eddie Bartlett and Matt. I can't remember his last name now. Matt Goulet. That's a DCC heavy con. Great con. There we get all kinds of good people at. And then the low key kind of con is Robert E. Howard Days. Author of Conan. I can't tell you how much I love that con because it's like you're going back and visiting family. It's right out that you set up. I set up the Goodman Games table underneath this giant oak tree in Robert E. Howard's front yard. His house is right there. You can imagine him yelling out the window and screaming his stories as he's slamming on the typewriter. And so everybody there just wants to talk about Conan and Robert E. Howard and Cole, and there's a hot dog cookout on a grill right there. And then that night at the VFW up 2 blocks away, there's a chicken fried steak dinner and an auction. I mean, it's small, but it's an amazing convention.
You mentioned a
So
VFW. That's probably like a $3 dish on a styrofoam plate too, right? And you have like your dollar PBRs right there.
Well, it was maybe like a $4 styrofoam,
Right.
styrofoam dinner. It was a little bit higher class. It was good.
Inflation happens. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of eating, chicken fried steak. I told you it was a good one. Craig, what's the best thing you've ever eaten at a convention, or worst thing?
Yeah, and honestly, sometimes they start off as one and shift to the other when you've had time to reflect. But I think probably the worst thing I've had at a con is just the sort of standard, indecipherable from the styrofoam it's served on hamburger that you used to get. I think a
For
lot of places are kind of moving away from that.
for
Um,
$18, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been on the on the heating pad for the past 12 hours, and it was on a grill for 13 hours before that, and it's awful. I think a lot of places are getting away from that kind of thing. I think the best, or at least the one that I was the most pleasantly surprised by, was actually just again last month at Game Face Con. They had a lot of food trucks and things come in from local places, and there was they had a place that did curry and pizza, curry on pizza, and I had a saag paneer pizza, which is, if you've never had saag paneer, it's an Indian dish. It's spinach and cheese, but on pizza. It was amazing. Two of my favorite
Really?
things. I love saag paneer. I love pizza. I had not thought of combining the two, but it was great. So
I'm not sure if I can believe you, Craig. I'm not sure if I can believe that.
Egg shooters or it didn't happen.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can find
And,
it. And the best thing is, it's semi-local, so I've actually been back again to that place. So when you're down here anywhere in the area, I'll bring you a saag paneer pizza.
I believe that you had it, but not believe that it's good. I'm not sure if
Fair.
I believe that.
Fair.
MDD, what about you? So do you have a select palate?
Unfortunately I do, and part of it is medical and part of it is choice, I guess. I'm that person that still, if I had a family and parents that were alive, I'd be taking my own bagged food to a con, and I do that now. Except instead of bag, I just try to do it with like glass Pyrex containers so I can keep it a little more sustainable. But unfortunately, this human being has celiacs, and as we know, cons do not cater to the gluten-free environment because they do like that wonderful dehydrated astronaut burger as opposed to, some delectable choices. Though Indian food most of the time vegetarian and gluten-free, but yeah, I always have to bring my stuff. So I might have a bag of nuts, legitimately, not just the people I'm hanging out with, but I also then will have like granolas that I make at home, or just a good old fashioned like almond butter and jelly spread sandwich on gluten free bread. Like, really, I don't mind. Like, I am that person. I will just sit there and eat while I'm talking, or sit to the side while everyone else is chowing down on some corn dogs and funnel cake, or other things that I just fantasize about. I unfortunately have a fetish of wishing I could eat like everyone else.
Dieter, you're one of the people that he's probably fantasizing about, right?
Yeah.
You're
Right.
you're
Oh,
like me. You're eating good food.
well, I mean, tasty, not healthy. Yes. Yeah, and again, Philadelphia is the place, man. Like the convention center is right across the street from the market, and there's so many good options in there. Everything is fantastic. Last time I went, I had my first real Philly cheesesteak. It was amazing. Um,
You
and
get
oh,
green
there's
peppers and mushrooms.
no, I don't do peppers.
Okay,
Um,
I don't do mushrooms, so
but and then the past few years, the Sunday night tradition has been me and some of the guys from Wet Ink Games go to an Irish pub where they have live music every Sunday night, and we wind down there. Um, but outside of Philadelphia, I think the most interesting place I've eaten was in Indianapolis. It was about a 20-minute walk from the convention center, but it was world famous Hot Boys chicken, like super hot Nashville style chicken. Um, and it was pretty good. But they were selling T-shirts there, and these T-shirts were so DCC, like that we all bought one. I I I would run to my closet and get it right now, but I know that that would screw up the camera stuff. So
no, yeah,
I
you can go get it as long as you come back to the exact
you
same
I
position.
know I can't. I don't think I can do that though. So
I'm excited for your next module, Layer of the Hot Boys.
right, layer of the hot boys. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'll tell you, if you're going to Dungeon Con and you're gonna stay, I can't remember the hotel right across the convention center. Brendan and I were there for Winter Fantasy, and he got shrimp and grits for breakfast, and it looked phenomenal. Like it looked like the best shrimp and grits I've ever seen in my life. I'm not a big shrimp and grits fan for breakfast, but I promise I'm gonna order that when I'm up there for Dungeon Con.
When I was last time I was in Fort Wayne, Foxy took me to an amazing taco place. I don't remember the name of
Nice.
it, but if you go up there, ask Foxy what the amazing taco place is.
That might be what we're having for lunch. I heard a rumor that we might be having tacos, so
Okay, all right.
it's
Cool.
just a rumor right now, but that might be it. Might be amazing tacos. Well, I think I did put that out in the last update. We're having tacos, and they are pronounced the most amazing by at least one fox in Fort Wayne. But I've
Oh, and
never
I
had
and,
them.
and I've had them, so I agree they are definitely the best tacos in Fort Wayne.
I'm not sure if it's the same place. I hope it is now.
Foxy and
Uh,
Dieter approved.
That's right.
All right, well let's talk about customers. So, MDD, what's your approach to the customers coming up? Uh, tell us how you're prepping yourself for your show at MomoCon.
I mean, unfortunately, again, I love the chatter and I love to just ask probably more intrusive questions about people's lives than I need to do. I'd like to build that rapport almost as if we've known each other for 20 years within 30 seconds. And it's just because I'm genuinely curious to know what it is you're doing at this event or what it is that you're here. Why are you could be anywhere else. Why would you be at this spot in this moment in this time, and just get that person talking about who they are. And then if that turns into like, well, hey, look what I have here for you, because this sounds like that story that you were talking about when you went to Fort Wayne and you had those horrible tacos. We have this module that has this little story that kind of railroad you to that exact and same environment. So check this out. Read this while you're sitting here. Yeah, I just really like that engagement with other people. I think a lot of us are still traumatized from having to suffer through COVID and lockdowns, and I think our society hasn't quite kind of come out of that shell still. And then no matter what's going on with the chaos of the world and whatever we believe, I feel like cons really are that safe place where you can kind of just let yourself be open and transparent. And if you have that opportunity to interact with another person that you haven't gotten to have that experience with, right? Like whether someone at MomoCon, for instance, might be cosplaying, or they might be an anime fan, or they might be there for the pop culture for some celebrity or something like that. So whatever that purpose is, I want to know why. Like what it is that it was that's here. And I think that's because I work from home most of the time. So for me, getting out, it's like I'm starved of people, and I want to know all about you. And that's kind of the way I approach almost everything in life. And so I think people genuinely see that interest and just want to engage, and hopefully that converts into sales as well.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you a piece of advice because I know you love to
Sure.
engage. Now, there's going to be multiple people though. So
Yeah.
while you're engaged, you're going to have to be like, "Oh, hold on. I got to go over here."
Oh, yeah.
So are you prepared to break off that engagement momentarily?
Well, look here, I'll give you two examples and you tell me if I am. So once upon a time, living in the city of Nashville, Tennessee, I used to be a bartender during CMA Fest, when there's like 500,000 people convening down onto the city at one time. You
All
have
right.
3 bartenders and about 400 people in a bar. You have to be able to engage quick, back and forth, back and forth.
But
And then,
you've
if we
got
go
it.
back
You've got
like
it.
30 years ago, back when I used to run like those game boxes inside of malls during Christmas and having 3 employees, and you have to engage with Black Friday crowds, I think I might be able to handle it. But cons, not so much of a rush. So I think if we can handle it, you can give me, Matt, if you can bring 100 people at my booth, I will get them taken care of.
You know how to do any fancy bartending tricks? Any
I,
cocktail?
I
Have you
do.
seen Cocktail with Tom Cruise?
Yeah, I don't know if everyone else has though. We're old enough, but how about
Yeah.
everyone else?
All right.
I'm
So
definitely old enough, but I haven't actually seen it.
you know some tricks?
No.
I do. Yeah.
All right.
I can flip the bottles and land them on my hand and around the back and on my things. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm like a barker at a carnival. I missed that calling. I really should have been that person. Let me get you into the freak show inside the tent. That would have been a dream.
All
Yeah,
right,
and
Craig Dieter. How
on
do
the
you
other hand,
guys deal with the customers?
I really am the freak show inside the tent, so that's more my style.
What's your approach to customers? Are you sitting there sparking up a conversation? Are you tell us your approach
I
when you're
I
at a convention?
I think I'm a little different from Craig and MDD because I am an introvert. Um, but yeah, I still talk to everybody. But my approach is a little more laid back, I guess. Like I will make eye contact, say, "Hey, how's it going?" And they'll say, "Fine." And then from there you gotta read the signals. If they look away and
Yeah.
start looking at stuff again, you let them go look. But then if they like, "Hey, I was just playing in this game and blah 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 blah," then you engage them. Um, but that's
There's
how I
definitely
approach.
signals because when I'm going around to the vending booths and you see the person back there, there's almost a like if I look at them, I'm gonna have to buy something, and I don't want them to feel bad, so I can't look at them. And then when they say something, you're like, oh yeah, hey, no, I don't like anime stickers that much, and I don't want to make them feel bad because that's what they're selling and they're passionate about. Um, and so whenever I try to see a customer, I'll try to engage them, throw a little couple feelers out there, and then if they just don't answer, or they give me real short answers, I'll just let them alone and look. And as soon as they touch something, I'll be like, oh, that one, da 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 da, da, and I'll give them a little something
Right,
about it.
right. Yep, yep. For sure.
All right, but it's definitely something. All right, so Doc Webb and Judge Crow, they want us to tell them. Oh, that's Greg. That's you.
That's
All right.
sorry, that's me. I didn't want to interrupt, but yeah, Judge Crow was asking about our favorite stashes.
I mean, I think MDD, he doesn't even have to roll. MDD's got the villain stash, right?
I think
But
he's got the
I will
Matador.
tell you this, for me,
Is that
honestly,
what it
like
is?
yes, it was much longer at another point, but I love when I get it to be the dolly. I love the dolly stash, hands down. It is my favorite. And unfortunately, when we would go out to like a brunch or breakfast or just anywhere out in society on a weekend, no exaggeration, we would get done and people would come out and they would go, I'm sorry, can I take a picture with you in that stash? And I was like, oh yeah, sure, why not? And it was just a joke, but that what happened so often, that was where the big encouragement started to come from the crowds within the household to say, that's not the person that I married. Maybe that should go away because I kind of like our anonymity when we are out in public as opposed to this thing on your face getting all the attention. It's like, oh, thanks. Okay, great.
I'll tell you guys a secret. So, I've got this big luxurious beard that I oil and, take care of. And I got these little things, these little metal things, like Nordic Viking things from the
Oh
Renaissance
yeah,
fair.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And I always want to put them in my beard. But, I don't want to go through I'm a horrible braider of myself. I could braid my daughter's hair. And nobody wants to braid my hair. My wife's like, no, I'll pass. And so I bought one of those little things, the little girls they advertise on the commercials that you put your hair in it and it goes so, 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 and it's supposed to braid it. But the thing is so complex, I can't figure out how to hook my hair and slide the pipe down. And so I've used it once and it almost ripped half my beard off, and I haven't used it again.
Oh well, Nick,
That's fantastic.
are you coming to Gen Con this year?
I think I am going to be at Gen Con this year.
Okay,
Yeah.
bring your little things with you. I'll braid your beard for you.
Okay, perfect.
I thought you were gonna say bring your beard torture device, and we'll do a
Oh, right.
charity event where if we
I mean,
get enough.
we can do that too. We can do that too.
There's something out there. I think it was at GaryCon. It was at GaryCon, and I had two braids going down. The bartender had braided my beard, and she stuck little like glow sticks in between it. So there's a picture
Oh,
running
nice,
around out there
nice.
somewhere.
That's phenomenal. I have the opposite experience from MDD where I've had facial hair since before I met my wife back when we were in school, and I shaved it I think once when our kid was 4 or 5, and I didn't tell either of them I was doing it. And my wife was like, "No, you have to regrow it." And our child walked in, saw me, screamed, and ran out of the room. And I was like, "Well, all right. I guess this did not work." So, yeah. So
All right.
so I have a family who begs me to keep mine.
To finish Judge Crow's question, I'm not sure what these stashes are, but I think I'd have to be probably the Italian Stallion. I don't have the hue. I mean,
They're
not
from
sure
the
what they look
annual.
like.
There's the hue or the chevron, which is like
No,
hue on the
I'm
cover
not.
of all the stuff.
I'm not currently sporting it, but since I have actually cosplayed Hugh, I have to go with the Hugh as my favorite.
That's amazing.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then
100%.
there's the Italian Stallion or the Super Mario. And
That's what Joey Real, right? Joey Real has that.
He's got a little bit more. Yeah. He's got a little bit more. And then there's the Matador, which is the sort of coming down. I would argue MDD. That's kind of what you're rocking. I think the good Reverend Joey Royale sometimes flirts even with kind of the John Waters pencil mustache with that whole vibe.
Now,
yeah, I think
Stefan's
Joey
in the
has
crowd.
his own mustache, really.
Yeah. We should just call that one the Reverend.
Crowd, and he just put out Bloody Barbers. He might have some more, mustaches in that book. I think.
Yeah.
And then there's the girl stash, which is like the Frida Kahlo, one of the variations there. And then the villain stash, and the reason I listed that as my favorite, it's not necessarily what I like to wear, but the fantastic thing about the stashes in the annual are that they all have game benefits because they're all magical. And the best thing about the villain stash is you get to borrow mechanics from other systems. So
Oh, wow.
you can, yeah, you roll and see what you're doing that round, and it can be stuff like this round you're basically, obviously we can on in this setting, even though you can't in the book, in this setting we can say the name of other games, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
All right. So you basically you reach over into Call of Cthulhu and grab out and you force your enemies to make sanity checks every time you hit them once a round and things like that. It's
Wow.
just it's
I mean,
it's a lot. It's a lot of fun. If you have not seen the annual and the Magic Mustaches entry, it's good stuff.
You just sold me on the annual. Good job.
Now,
I'm
what if you
half
guys need to get?
expecting Matt here to say, okay, Alana, if you can now pull up handout number 2C, you will see that in the annual that we are referencing right now, actually, page 24, paragraph 3, you
That
can now
requires
see.
more planning than
Elena,
most of these shows involve.
Elena works so hard to show all those handouts at Raw that I would never ask her to do it any other time. So if you guys need to go get a refresher or a drink, so like I'm a tea drinker, so this is hot tea, or Earl Grey. I'm supporting Trevor, my Canadian friend, but I put a little bit of a cognac in there, a little spike, a little taste in my tea here. What are you guys drinking over there?
Well, I just finished my last bottle of North Coast Old Rasputin Stout.
I haven't had that in years,
Rasputin.
but that's good stuff.
It's so good.
You know-
It's so good.
You know how to do the? Does anybody know how to do the Rasputin dance?
No.
It's
Rah
like
rah
all on
Rasputin.
TikTok.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
I added that song to my playlist just because it came on TikTok so much. I'm embarrassed about how many TikTok songs are on my playlist.
I have a
Craig,
campaign.
are you a
one of-
drinker? Go ahead.
to me personally?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
tell us
yeah.
about your campaign, and then tell us if you're a drinker, and then tell us if you prefer coffee or tea.
Yep. Okay. So I'm very quick. I'm not going to talk anybody's ear off about a campaign, but one of the long running bad guys is a lich, and at some point my players decided that the lich's theme song was the Boney M. Rasputin song. So somebody found a an all violin arrangement of Rasputin, which is now the song that comes on anytime the lich shows up. So that's been a good time. I am a drinker. I am mostly a coffee drinker. In terms of non water fluids that I drink. If you see me at a con, you will see that the thing I drink the most is water. Just because I've got to that point in my life where I have to stay hydrated, or I shrivel up into a corpse like the end of Last Crusade. So I carry around a giant, gallon water bottle everywhere. But and then outside of that, I do drink. I also have finished off, but I was having a Sazerac, a little bit of rye, a little bit of absinthe, some Peychauds.
All right. Oh, nice, sophisticated. So you guys need to go get another drink. If you haven't tried cognac or whiskey in your tea, it tastes amazing. So I'll just say that.
Fantastic.
MDD, what's your preference?
look, I think I'm the most boring human here. Like that's why I have to have the stash, the bright clothes, the hair, you name it. I'm a water fan. I have to stay. I'm the hydro homie of the world of Good Games, I suppose. I just very similarly, if I do not keep hydrated, I will be parched and there will be no energy left to give to our fans or our people that are out there that need us.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think I got beered out when I was in high school and college. I got kicked out of college, by the way, for drinking and not going to class and stuff like
For
that.
beer, okay.
So, yeah. But anyway, and so now I only usually drink whiskey. But then people will ask me if I want to go drink a beer, and I don't want to feel bad. So I'm like, yeah, I'll go have a beer or two. But if you see me at a convention after hours, of course, when I'm off the clock, I'm a hard liquor kind of person, and so that's to get me how to drink and have a good time.
How do you feel
I
about
mean, I have
bourbon?
a good time anyway. Yeah, I love bourbon. I love all. The only one little sketchy on his whiskey because, again, college, I drank way too much. And so, you drink too much of one liquor, you get sick, and you're on a park bench outside the Milwaukee Botanical Gardens, and you're dry heaving. Just
I have
a random story
I
I
have
made
no
that.
idea what that would be like.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the days when I used to drink like Mad Dog 2020 and we would just slam like 2 of those big containers in the back of a 7-Eleven when we were like 18 and 19.
So you do have some drinking stories for us.
Oh, look, unfortunately, I am not that saint. I had stopped like 5 years ago and there was no reason. I didn't end up in a gutter. There was nothing low. Just I woke up one day and felt just got tired of feeling tired. And thank goodness it was previous to COVID because at that time I was drinking like oatmeal stouts and we lived in Boston and we were a block and a half away from a cidery and the cidery, I won't name names because I don't want to get anyone in trouble. Granted, this has been years ago, but the cidery, they would give us cases of their scratch and dent cans. So we would just have these cases of cider packed up into the side of the wall. And why not? You just cider's so good and you don't remember that there's alcohol in those things. So yeah, it's just too much. And so yeah, there's plenty of stories. And I'm sure there are people out there that can tell you stories that I'm not ashamed to share, but I wouldn't remember. I would be like Dieter. I don't remember what that happened. Did that really happen?
All those people that know stories about MDD will be on the next Roadhouse.
Right.
All right. So I've got some over the seas conventions for you. I'm going to give you like, say 4. And you guys tell me which convention you would attend if you could. So in Warsaw, Poland, there is in the month of February, it's a little chilly. There's a convention called Zajava. All right, so we got Warsaw, Poland. You've got Etencon in Blackheath, Australia in July. I'm not sure how hot it would be in July, but if it's I feel like it would be like Texas. I feel like it would be way hot. All right.
I think they're on a
So
different season there.
is
aren't
it
they?
is it the flip one?
I think so. I could
Okay.
be wrong.
So the Java, Warsaw, Poland, Etencon, Blackheath, Australia. Let's go with what's another good one here? Oh, how about AlgarveCon in Portugal
Mm.
or a Grog Meet in Manchester, United Kingdom?
That's
Yeah,
a
Grog
tough.
Meet, Manchester, United Kingdom.
Okay.
AlgarveCon in Portugal. Etencon in Australia or Zajava in Poland. Dieter, what do you think?
Well, actually, I already have my international convention picked out, and it's not one of those 4. I I have been trying for years to get Joseph to send me to Midgard convention in Reykjavik.
Oh,
So
that's-
so
I-
far
All
so
right.
far he's not been down with that. So one of these years though.
What you got to do
That's
is you
such
got to
an
plan a
easy
trip
flight.
to go to Iceland and then sneak it in there while you're there.
Well, right, but I don't want to spend my trip to Iceland working unless I'm working to go to Iceland. I don't know.
So, fun fact: me and my wife went to Iceland and then to Ireland for our 25th anniversary. Iceland has the largest penile museum in the entire world.
Yes, I went to it when I was there. It was
I
pretty
went to it
fascinating.
too. I
Is
picked
that
up the
is that the
penal.
size
I
of the
picked up the penal
museum
phone.
or
Both really.
I mean, there's elephant and elk. There's ant. I mean, there's every kind of. I mean, it's crazy. So yeah, that museum is awesome.
And
All right,
I went to the punk rock museum there too. That was fun.
I
Oh, that's
tried
the
to go to
one
the
right in
punk
front
rock
of the coffee
museum.
shop.
No,
We
it's
went right
it's actually in an old like lavatory. Like it's in an
Yeah.
old public restroom. Yeah.
Yeah, there's an M&M sitting outside, and I was like, "Let's go down here." And my wife's like, "No, you're not getting me down there." And I was like, "What? It's punk rock. There's stickers all over every place, and you
Yeah.
hear music coming out like boom, boom, boom." And I was like, "Come on, let's go check it out." She's like, "No." I got denied.
Sorry.
All
Yeah,
right,
it's a
so
good show.
Craig, we've got Grog Meet in Manchester. We got Algarve Con in Portugal. We've got Etenkon in Australia and Zajava in Warsaw, Poland. Where would you be going?
Mówię po polsku złej. I mam tam rodzinę, pojadę do Warszawy. I'd have to pick Poland. I speak a
I
little bit
don't
of
know what
Polish and I
that
have
was,
some
but
family
I'm
there.
impressed.
I actually
Um,
speak a little bit of Polish too. Nie mówię po
Excellent.
polsku.
Really? MDD, do you speak Polish as well?
Ich spreche Deutsch kinda a bisschen and maybe some Italian, but no Polish, unfortunately.
All right. Well,
Fun
where would you
fact, though,
go out
my
of those
friend
four?
actually, friend once upon a time was like an ambassador for the U.S. for Poland, for like a senator or something like that. So he was really big into Poland and loved some of the punk bands in Poland. So that was actually going to be my choice, was to go to the Polish one until you mentioned Portugal, and then I was like, oh no, that's even better.
I think I'd have to hit up that Australia one, especially now that I know it's in winter. Thank you, Elena and Boxy. Now that I know it's in winter, because I'm from Wisconsin and I'm trapped in Texas, my wife will not let me leave.
What
And
what city is that one in?
the one in Australia
Yeah.
is in
Big country.
Blackheath. Blackheath. I'm not sure where. That
Don't
might
know where
be.
that is. Okay.
That might be right outside of a big city in Australia. I don't know, but I'll find out. But I heard they have nasty spiders over there. Crazy
Oh,
spiders.
the Huntsman, yeah.
Yeah, that's the reason I will
We
not
have
move
them
to
here in North
Australia.
Carolina, strangely enough, too.
Oh well,
Do
I
you
won't
really?
move to North
Yeah,
Carolina either.
they're like this big.
That's fantastic.
No,
All right, well, Craig,
that's the opposite of fantastic.
I like spiders.
Craig, we've got fans that come up to the booth and they want to know how to get into Goodman Games. They want to know how to get into DCC. They want to know how to run games and conventions. What's your advice for fans that come up to the booth and they say, "Hi, hey, I want to run some games at a convention"? What do you tell them?
People who are familiar with the games already, right? They're not getting into DCC. They're getting into running games. It depends on the
What
con.
advice would you give people running games that want to run games at conventions?
Reach out to the organizers, because usually if you're there, if you can do it ahead of time, a lot of cons are really excited to have people come and run games. Now it's not going to be all of them, so that's why I say if you can do it ahead of time, check. But a lot of cons, sometimes the cons themselves, sometimes the companies running there, will comp you a badge to come in if you run X amount of games. Sometimes at least they can give you bonuses, or they'll do things like that. If not, at the very least, you can usually go and sign up and make sure that there's space available. I think, unfortunately, even with my pretty limited experience being on the inside of the booth, and my more broad experience on the other side, I have seen people kind of roll up to cons and say, "Hey, great, I brought my stuff. Where can I set up and play?" And I think, with very few exceptions, if you try that, you're going to be really disappointed. So reach out well ahead of time, or at least as much of a heads up as you can get, and try to make sure you have a table booked. And then once you've done that, reach out on the Goodman Discord, on the DCC Rocks group, on Facebook, onto the Interplanar Gong Farmers Union, or just reaching out in your local Gong Farmers chat, or even better, reach out to the Gong Farmers Discord for the region where the con is, and advertise your table. Because I think there's as with so many things in this hobby, I think we're a little luckier than most in that DCC is really fun to run and to play. So we tend to be luckier and have, I think, a higher judge to player ratio than a lot of other games. But still, people
There's
are excited to play.
Still, every convention, people are going, we need more games. There's not
Yeah.
enough games.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So people will be thrilled to hear that there's going to be a game. So just make sure that you are advertising it through the con if you can, or reaching out and letting people know that there's going to be DCC at that con. Because I know, before I was working at cons, candidly, I would kind of make the decision about which cons I would go to if there was going to be a Goodman or a DCC presence there. And a lot of that I would get through the Discord.
MDD, Dieter, you guys got anything to add on to that?
No, like that's a pretty like I guess my advice would be just do it. um,
Yeah.
yeah, like don't be afraid. Don't worry if you're good enough. Don't worry about any of that kind of stuff. Just go through whatever process the convention has for setting that up and do it. Everyone is going to have fun. Everyone's going to love it. And also don't forget that you can earn free swag by through the road crew. So
Absolutely. And Dieter, if I'm
And
not
that was
mistaken, if they're running a DCC or MCC game, they can come by the booth and get free quick start rules to pass out to everybody, right?
yeah,
right.
in most cases, if we have them in stock, yes, we can give out free quick start rules to anyone who wants them.
And I'll add to
MDD, what were you
both
going to
what
say? Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll add to both what Craig and Dieter were saying. That's actually kind of my origin story into being here now. Is that when that big biblical size book was slammed onto that coffee table in front of me of that DCC core book, I was like, "Great, that's awesome. How do I play this? And what do I do?" And no one around. I could not find anything. So thankfully that, the interwebs existed. I found the Goodman game site. Then the Goodman game site led me to the Discord of dungeon crawlers and that
And then
community
you
there that
found
exists.
me.
I found you. I mean, you're a community that you created. I mean, I even think 2 years ago it was much smaller than what I think it's even doubled since then, which is quite phenomenal. And it was just meeting that community of people who were just like, hey, you want to play? Like, come play with us and like see our freak shine in this environment. And I got to enjoy a couple of play tests with Matt Funk with his I think it's Pilgrims of the Goblin Road, if I remember correctly. If I got that wrong, Matt, I apologize. But that just really hooked me. And so then I was like, I want to play here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I couldn't find anybody. So thankfully there was MythicCon and Tantrum Con. MythicCon here is in November, and Tantrum Con happens either really kind of at the end part of January, beginning of February. And similar to what Craig and Bud Dieter said, I knew nothing about cons. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't even know how to run a game. I just played maybe like 5 or 6 at the time. And again, the community just was like, you can do this. And thankfully, what I was appreciative is that DCC, and again, the rules as written, the raw show that you and Stefan had really just gave me the confidence to say, this is a rules light system and you're encouraged to make it fun. It doesn't need to be this crunchy madness that my brain at this age cannot handle. And so I found that con and just said, how do I do this? And signed up. Didn't know what I was signing up for, but it did encourage me that if you run so many hours, you get a free badge. So I didn't have to pay.
Sure you're not
And
drinking? Like I'm
yeah,
gonna
no,
have to
no,
put a timer on. I'm gonna have to put a timer on you here in a
see?
second.
That's it. Like, there you go. So, but that's what led me into that con environment. And I was like, oh, if I can do this, then this is great. And then now, we run a weekly game that has anywhere from 12 to 20 people in it.
It's awesome.
Yeah, your game looks great, and so people can see that because you were just featured in it as a roadworthy judge, and so there's some great pictures of you in your game at the FLGS. I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. It is the Roadhouse. If you're just tuning in, we've got convention reps Dieter Zimmerman, Craig Langrell, and Michael David Davis. We're going to keep the conversation going a little bit longer. So, anyone famous that you've seen? Who's our California convention rep? Is that John?
John does the San Francisco area. Brad does the LA area.
All right. Who have you guys seen anyone famous at a convention that you've worked at, been at, or attended? And if you haven't, who would you love to see at a convention? MDD, we're going to start with you first.
Well, I came from a film and TV industry, so I don't know convention wise that I've seen anybody that I had worked with in that environment. I have
Wait,
seen
stop right there. Do you know
what's that?
famous people?
I've worked with famous people, sure. Yeah.
Drop a couple names. Give us a little candy. Come on.
I worked on the TV show Nashville for 7 years. So ABC Lionsgate. So that cast and crew, couple of films, even some films that I think probably our fans would enjoy. The Love Witch, Witch Queen, if I remember correctly. It was actually one of the filmed on film, not the digital camera. and it's kind of one of those like movies you would see like Up All Night with Elvira or something like that. The Love Witch, that's what it is. So yeah,
Very
there's
cool.
quite.
All right.
I mean, it's
I
not
didn't, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but go
No,
ahead.
that's
So, anyone famous at a convention, or who would you want to
I-
see?
I would love to see Alan Tudyk, to be honest. Like that would be the person that I would love to play games with, just because I just find Alan to be an amazing human being as far as what I can see in his persona.
Greg, how about you?
I'm trying to think in terms of I guess film and TV celebrities, which isn't really the I guess side of cons that I go to. I know there were some a lot of folks will come in, but I think try to keep the themselves on the down low. I understand uh retroactively that I went to a BlizzCon once ages and ages ago, back and I understand that I'm blanking on the name, but what is her name? The star of Halloween. I'm having a complete mental
Amy?
what's that?
Jamie?
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis would go to BlizzCon and essentially fully in disguise. And I think the one year I was there, I realized retroactively I had seen her and I believe her kid and had no idea. Which is just it's kind of a cool way to go and just be able to enjoy stuff that you
Yeah.
love and not be swamped by people. My own personal celebrity that I've seen was getting to see and chat to Zeb Cook at a con. I know, gaming celebrity who I was a big Planescape guy back in the day, and just getting to actually sit with the person who wrote so many of my best childhood memories and just say thanks. That's something that always really stuck out to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Gaming people are famous too.
The gaming celebrities are it's a large list, but
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Peter, who do you got?
Let's see. One year at Gen Con, Will Wheaton came to the booth.
Nice.
He bought Purple Planet. Let's
Nice.
see. I wasn't there. I missed it, but oh, I'm drawing a blank right now. Crap. Oh, Chris Funk from the Decemberists came to the booth. I'm a big Decemberists fan, and I totally missed it. Didn't get to meet him. And then let's see, a couple years ago at GaryCon, I met Tom Morello. He came to the booth looking for Gamma World, and I was like, "No, but we have Mutant Crawl Classics." And he was like, "Nah."
Oh.
Heartbreaking.
Denied.
I know it was.
So me and my son went to Comic-Con down here in Austin, and we were sitting. The cosplay contest was about to go on upstairs, and we were on the second floor, and most of the events were on the first floor. We were just sitting, kind of chilling. Still 45 minutes an hour before the cosplay contest comes up, and Xavier Woods, the wrestler from the New Day, comes just strolling down the corridor, and like nobody else is around, and I was like, "Oh, is that Xavier Woods?" Because my son, loved wrestling, WWE, and he's like, "Yeah, that's him." And we were like, "Hey, Xavier!" And we accosted him for a minute, and he chit chatted with us. But that was pretty cool to catch him as he was without anyone and could stop for a minute.
I want to put this out into the world just in case anyone watching, has the connections. I would love to someday play with Todd Stashwick and or Deborah Ann Wall.
We might have some connections there. Who knows? Some people know some
I don't know.
people.
I know some people, and I know like they're both actual gamers. So
Yeah, that would be very cool. Todd Stashwick, I loved him on 12 Monkeys, the TV show. I didn't love him. I actually hated his character, but
that's kind
Good
of what
thing.
he does, I think. Yeah, like Picard was the same way. Like you're supposed to hate him.
All right, so Dieter, when you're going to a convention, and traveling, flying, however you're getting there, what's your musical playlist? What's your mindset as you're driving to a convention?
My mindset is just get me to the convention with my sanity more or less intact. Because I've done some pretty long drives before. I have driving playlists that I listen to all the time. It's a whole random mishmash of stuff. Like I can't even narrow it down for you.
Give us a go-to song or a go-to band that you
I,
got to listen to every drive.
well, I guess recently I've been really into Teenage Bottle Rocket. They're kind of a nerdy pop punk band.
I have not heard them, so I'll be sure to check that out. Craig, how about yourself?
I music wise, I think one that I always try to put on any kind of long road trip is one of my favorite albums, which is "The Glorious Dead" by The Heavy. Um, just a old favorite of mine that I always like to get in there. But honestly, if I'm traveling with family, as they like to come to conventions as well, we tend to read to each other. Whoever is not actively driving will read for a while, and then kid in the back seat will read for a while, and then we swap off, and the person who is driving takes a turn reading. And if I'm driving by myself with a back seat full of boxes marked Goodman Games, I will mix in some music, but mostly I'll listen to podcasts or audiobooks.
Yeah, I mean, the audiobooks, my niece does that too, and she's like, I can drive all night long, listen to an audiobook, it keeps me up. And I'm like, I'm scared I would fall asleep, just the storytelling of it. And I'd
Yeah.
be like, man, that's gonna knock me out.
It's like tell me a bedtime story while I'm driving. Yeah.
I know. Uh, MDD, what are you listening to?
I have a in the sparsity of time, because everything has a good origin story behind it. But Beat Patrol, the song Beat Patrol by Starship, has always been my number one motivational jam song to like get me pumped up, ready to go. And then if I have a go-to album, it's the band Live and their very first album, Mental Jewelry, Pain Lies on the Riverside, and songs like that. So yeah, those are my anything with teenage angst behind it, I can be behind.
Okay. So now, my favorite song in the past couple years is "The Sound of Silence," uh, the Skrillex version. "Disturbed," "The Sound of Silence." Man, I love that song. But if I'm trying to get pumped up, I'll listen to White Zombie or Pantera, Vulgar Display of Power, stuff like that from my '90s youth. Las Exorcisto, stuff like that. That's I love that music. It met the Big Show at Gary Con. I saw the Big Show, and Brian Spellman says in the chat, I saw the Big Show at Gary Con 2 years, and I almost was like, "Hey man, can I join you for breakfast?" Because I'll go. I'll go up there. All I can say is no, but I didn't want to bug him. He's been playing all con all day, and all right, we're ending the close of our hour. We're already past it. Thank you guys for staying a little bit later. Anything else that you guys want to share? Road trip stories, final thoughts, words. And Dieter, did you bring a treasure to show us? I love
Oh,
sharing collectibles.
a treasure. I forgot. I'd have to get up from
All
my
right,
chair and get it. But
you got to get up because I'm gonna go first. All
okay,
right, so
okay.
I love. Well, I'm gonna go. I'll wait till Dieter comes back because I want him to see it. So I think Elena, I'm gonna try to pitch another show, and it's gonna be like a collectible show. Yeah, I mean, Elena said, "Oh no, no."
I would look if you allow me to co-host. I would love to do that with you.
RPG Roadshow. All right, so I love
Yeah.
watching auctions, and I love getting deals. And so one of my most recent finds was this cloth map from I believe
Oh
it's
wow, nice.
Nice.
Yeah, it is a cloth map from I think it's Ultima 2 or Might and Magic 4. They build it as Ultima 2. In that same lot, I got some leather TSR dice bags. They're packed full of the dragon dice. Another
You're gonna.
recent
I thought you said
purchase.
you found leather pants.
Oh,
No,
Top
the
Secret. I loved that game. That one was fun.
Wow.
top secret box set. and I'm getting these for steals. I cannot tell you where I'm finding them. And then Powers and Perils.
Oh, I remember that one too.
Yeah.
That was
Wow.
yeah.
But one of my probably my most prized possessions, Daniel Bishop himself sent me this D50. They
Nice.
are almost impossible to find, so I love this thing. All right, Dieter, you're back. What do you got for us?
Okay, so like one of my favorite games, like in high school, we did a lot of role playing all the time, but occasionally we'd break out a weird board game or something. And one of my favorite ones to play was Mertwig's Maze, by Tom
Okay.
Wam. Um,
Oh
and and
yeah.
I and I don't know if you know Tom Wam's games at all, but he did a lot for TSR back in the day. Really, really kind of a kooky, fun guy. But
Awful
I
Green
got
Things from Outer Space. That
yes,
was him,
yes.
right? Yeah, yeah.
I think it was, yeah. But I got a copy of Mertwig's Maze that is unpunched. Look at this, unpunched. And
Wow.
then
Wow.
I took it to Gary Kahn and got him to autograph it.
Nice. You need to get that thing graded. Put
Yeah,
it in plastic.
but then I can't open it up and look at it.
Right. Right.
That's true. That is true. All right, Craig, you got something to share with us for show and tell?
I do. I have. I had a couple things within grasp. I think probably my favorite thing specifically from Goodman is the old Castle White Rock
Oh,
monster of a box. Just because
classic.
I love Mega Dungeons, and that's one that I really enjoy, and I'm excited it's coming back this year. So if we can sneak in a plug for the Kickstarter later this year, but
Absolutely.
and then on my own tables, one that has seen a lot of use, but that I always bring out for sailors. I like to make terrain. So
Ooh.
here's my ship that I have made, or one of them that I like to break
Handmade?
out. Yeah,
Did you get
yeah.
a model? How did you make this? Did you get it
Some
from a
of it's
model or
3D.
did you?
Some of it's 3D printed. Some of it is just dowels and coffee stirrers that I cut down to make the deck, and things like that. And then the rigging is all just elastic string that I tied or glued on. I didn't do it did have sails at one point, but then you couldn't see any of the minis on it, so I ended up taking those off. But um, so that's I I like some pageantry. If anybody was at Gen Con out in Lucas Oil Stadium, I was the guy with the actual Castle White Rock walls on the table in the Goodman section. And then my last little thing is an actual gavel made from the wood from the old government house in Annapolis, Maryland, that they tore down. I think in the 80s, and especially these days, I don't want to dip too much into politics, but it's nice to take a relic of old house political stuff and just use it for something positive and fun and gaming, and reclaim it a little bit, because sometimes just finding joy where you can these days is kind of an act of rebellion in and of itself.
Very cool. Very cool.
Are you gonna
MDD,
put
you got something
a
to share?
stamp on the end of that though, so you can like do the
No,
death stamp?
I have my actual stamps. This is my Quest Complete stamp that has actually taken the place of my paid stamp when I'm at my desk paying bills these days. But
MDD, do you got something to share with us?
I do. I so my disclaimer is I found this prior to really understanding everything that I needed to have in order to understand the Goodman Games ethos. I was just fresh DCC newbie and not even understanding the whole game store environment. And I went into an FLGS and I was like, oh, this looks like the artwork I've seen on one of those modules that I have, and let me grab this. And I've never seen it. I never saw anyone talking about it, and so I ended up finding this on a top shelf, covered in dust, which is the Metamorphosis Epsilon
Ooh.
City, the blue cover edition. Now, here's the thing: I was all excited. I was like, yes, I will get this, and I will enjoy how great it is, and it's got all the good stuffs in it. And then I found out you can't play this without Metamorphosis Alpha. And so I realized that I found for a steal and a great product, but I can't do anything with it. So if anyone out there has Metamorphosis Alpha, I'm looking for that because wouldn't it go so nice with this wonderful untouched
Leather
piece?
edition. Wow.
Yeah,
I
and again, and it's box. So, and I think that was like the Kickstarter version. I don't know how that all was back then, but it was my first like cool DCC slash Goodman Games find, and then unfortunately started the spreadsheet that has me out trying to scour eBay listings and Noble Knight listings and you name it.
I just missed the auction that had two Metamorphosis Alphas. One was the foil cover, and one was the regular cover. But I was out looking for a new truck, so I missed those auctions. But I'm gonna keep an eye out now that I know you want one.
Nice. Well, look, I got
And
that for less than list price, so that's the way I roll.
Are you looking for the deluxe versions produced by Goodman, or are you looking for the OG?
Yeah, the good ring. I want to keep it in
Okay.
that. Like, I cannot go down that path, unfortunately, Craig, of collecting anything outside of what I can. I have to keep some sort of boundaries. Some sort of boundaries.
I
There's
will
already
message. I
too
will
much.
message you. I think one of my local stores still
Okay.
has at least one of the Kickstarter Metamorphosis Alpha deluxe books on the shelf. I'll
Buy it
message you.
tonight when we're done. Let's do it.
All right.
Important question in the chat. Did you find the truck?
not yet. So yeah, I want another Dodge, but Dodge stopped making the Hemi last year in 2024. So I went and they're like, "Hey, we got this new engine called the Hurricane, and it's a dual V6." And I was like, "What? No, 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 no. Where's my V8? Where's the Hemi e-torque?" So I'm really upset about that. So now we're thinking about used 2024s. But to give my Goodman Games plug for this dice right here, there is a book called 50 Fantastic Functions for the D50. So if you have that book and this dice, you are rocking. All right, gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the Roadhouse. Everybody who joined us, thanks for tuning in and watching the show. This show is not recorded, so if you ever see it come up again, you got to watch it live. Otherwise, you're missing all this great content. But Elena, thanks for being our recording mistress. All right, anything you guys want to say on our way out?
Come see us at the
Wait,
cons.
If you guys see these guys at a convention, now you know them. Come up and say hi and
Well,
you're
say hey to them. They're the extroverts.
Look, I'm actually an introvert. I learned that in the last few years. I thought you would think I'm an extrovert, but I'm really an introvert. I just have very dedicated amount of time that I can have public interface, and the rest I have to go home and recharge.
We could have a whole hour conversation about that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I just saw your message. Yeah, you can plug whatever you want. So plug.
Okay, well, I just checking to make sure. So, like, if you are in North Carolina at all or anything of that nature, and you're in like the Charlotte area, we are running probably. There's only 5 games that ever run in the nation, the mega games. So it's those games that are like really live action role play. It's a 7-hour, 8-hour day, anywhere from 40 to 200 people. So we're running one that's very popular in the UK, Watch the Skies. It's been around for 10 years. We've kind of tweaked it a little bit. But we'll be doing that in Charlotte, North Carolina on April 27th. So if you're in the area or if you want to travel in, because the only other places we've seen mega games are like Pennsylvania and Oregon. Nothing really else in between.
Hey, and so where can the people catch you next? The next convention you and Craig will be at is MomoCon, is that right?
Got it, MomoCon, and that's happening in May. And May, of course, I had that up here. That was May 22nd through 25th.
Where at?
Atlanta, Georgia.
All right. And Dieter, where can the people find you next?
The next convention I will be at is Origins in June in Columbus.
All right. I will be at.
Sorry,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, technically, my next one is PAX East.
All right.
In the I believe it's the 8th through the 11th of May next month, and then the 22nd through the 25th they'll be running games at MomoCon.
All right, so PAX East before MomoCon. If anyone's in the Austin area or Texas, I will be at Staples Independent Media Expo tomorrow. So I've got a convention tomorrow. And then I think the next one after that is, of course, going to be DungeonCon. And we still have warehouse shopper badges available. If you guys want to come and scour the Goodman Games inventory and pick out whatever you want on the shelves that may not be listed on the website, limited edition covers. There was a box of 2015 yearbooks, and I didn't even have that. And there was a whole box of them just sitting there. I was like, where did this even come from? There are still warehouse shopper badges available. See if you can pick one up, and we'll see you in Fort Wayne on May 3rd. Yeah, May 3rd. Otherwise, gentlemen, thank you for joining us. We'll
Thanks.
see you on the next GrapeApe's Roadhouse, maybe in like 3 months' time. We're going to try and do them quarterly, where our guests, I'm going to try to get the first ever convention team on here, which is going to be Brendan LaSalle, well, before Joe, right? But one of the old school, maybe before Dieter and John, I think, is Brendan LaSalle. Brett. Brett was a convention runner.
Yep.
And he said somebody else was with him. Female. I can't remember her name.
Al.
Al?
Yeah, his wife.
And that's Brett's wife. Okay.
Yep.
So we're gonna see if we can get them on here from way back in the old days. Is that before your time, Dieter? Was that even before?
That's I think like Brett was running the booth before I was doing that kind of job, but I was in the scene at that time. Yeah.
All right. So thanks for joining us, everybody. Elena, thank you again, and we'll see you next time on the Roadhouse.
I just want to
Thanks,
ask,
man.
how long do we have to work for the company before we can get on the cover of a book, Dieter?
I've been on a few covers now.
I mean, it might not be how long, but how well you look like one of the characters, right?
I mean, that's a big part of it. Yeah. Not so much anymore. I don't have the hair, but
So
now
if you can pull it off, Greg, if you got
I could do a rat face now, but
I mean, I'd love to see that. So if you guys see us at the convention, stop by and say hi, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Matt.